wonderful session, which is on leading with heart. So maybe to begin with this particular, welcome to everybody. This particular webinar is also there on all the social media platforms. So people who are watching me at different platforms, I would like to thank you for joining in. If you would just like to simply help me out to know how you're feeling this evening, maybe on a chat, you can just put in how is your day, how have you been, so just maybe it would be great to hear from all of you. And yes, this particular webinar would have a CCE hour as well, in case if you're looking for your ICF credentialing ongoing journey. The CCU is important. And also people who are looking to get a certificate, if you've registered for this webinar, you would be definitely getting a closing password. You place that password and you would be able to download the certificate. So, so let me hear from everybody. How are you feeling? So David says, looking forward to the evening. Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Karuna, for joining in. Okay, so let me just quickly great. Thanks, Nayan, for that, and all the people from different parts of the world. Thank you for joining in. Thanks, Indranil, for joining. So today's webinar, what's the topic? Let me just check. Where is the topic gone? Oh, no, it's placed here. Yeah, it's called Leading with Heart. And just check in with everybody that we're all blessed with our heart. That makes us more human. That makes us more, compassionate person, more empathetic person. So Leading with Heart is a very powerful webinar for all the leaders who are at different levels in your organizations, are looking to use your head and heart while working with people. Now, many times people say that, hey, leading with heart sounds more like emotional. And, I'm an alpha leader. I don't need that all. And sounds very, what we call it as, very feminine when I say leading with heart. So, but these are all myths. Because when I look at leading with heart is to use your head and your heart in a way where you're using your emotions, okay, in a constructive, functional way while dealing with your employees, peers, clients, family, everywhere. Okay, so first of all, leading with heart is that we all have a heart, we are blessed, but the heart talks about certain aspects of our behavior that may need a shift. Like we have iPhones or Android phones, we keep on updating every year or every 6 months, some software updates, but then have we updated enough our heart, using our heart to the workplace? Okay, and what are the qualities of that? We will be learning that shortly in today's session, or I'll be sharing with you shortly, and I would love to hear how has been your experience as well. So let me quickly take you through a quiz. Okay, sorry. The quiz is here, if you're all there. Okay, the first quiz for everybody. Wherever you are, you can participate this either on the chat, either on the LinkedIn or Facebook, or if you're learning with Zoom, you can participate directly. So the question is, what's the challenge you face while dealing with people at workplace? So, so for people who could be entrepreneurs, for people who are into startups where you have diverse team, or people who are operating with all outsourced team, what are the challenges? And this is not with one option. You can have multiple options. Okay, so think about it. What kind of challenges you face as a leader today? The first one is new on a leadership role. Second one is giving and receiving. The third one is lack of empathy or compassion. Lack doesn't mean that is empty. It means that I need that more clarity. I don't understand what exactly empathy or compassion is, or acknowledging self and team at regular intervals. or difficult to be vulnerable with teams. Low on emotional quotient, maybe I need to do that little bit of work on myself, or I have different leadership style and that doesn't really match with my current style. So we have another 20 seconds to participate wherever you are. If you are seeing this, you can simply put that in the chat if you don't have an option to participate in the poll. So just check in. Interesting, last 10 seconds. So participate as much as you can. Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there we got the poll. Let me share the results with you. So we have 11% of people saying that giving and receiving feedback, while 22% is lack of empathy and compassion. 11% is difficult to be vulnerable, while 11% is low on emotional quotient, and 56% is on the different leadership style. So this particular webinar is for you. And I'm sure this is going to be a sharing platform, so you can anytime ask me questions. You can put that in the chat, and I'll be happy to support you. So let me take you through quickly to the small presentation I made for you all. So I did ask you this question, and based on my experience working with different teams in the past so many years, so I've taken the data of the last 6 years, what kind of challenges, so before the COVID I'm talking about, so 2020 and 5 years behind. So what kind of challenges that I had been working with leaders? So these are a few of them, and there are many more, but I just collected from my memory list with all my data. So one of the challenges that leaders face at workplaces, communication issues with the team. Now, when we talk about communication, is like a big ocean, or like a big umbrella word. So, and communication could be on listening, or not understanding each other's expectation, not able to establish each other's expectation while working with the teams. Or leaders have difficulty because they operate from this kind of frame of reference, while the team members are operating from either this or either this. So there is a gap in the frequency to understand each other. The second challenge that leaders face at workplaces is dealing with conflict. I think conflict is about disagreement between things which people want to resolve, but they're not able to come to some common consensus, or they're not effectively utilizing the resources to handle things in a better way. So sometimes I've seen a leader saying that, Paris, when in doubt, I just shout, and things happened. And I said, how long? And, because that's the feedback we've got. And that's the reason you're coaching and training for this particular area. So how do we deal with this effectively? Again, giving and receiving feedback. This is one of the most sensitive while working with teams. Typically, when you come from a very diverse background, culture, ethnicity, and you're dealing with different people in that room with different generation gaps, and then feedback acceptance, it's quite difficult for people, because sometimes it comes across that, hey, you're very rude, or you're not empathetic, or you don't care. Or sometimes leaders unconsciously bring, because of lack of time and pressure, they just end up giving feedback, which is very, what we say, semantic, or very much language-based, and nothing more deeper conversation. So a lot of time employees are unhappy about the kind of feedback that they receive. So again, this is one of the challenges that leaders are struggling today. The other one is understanding teams. Now, teams are filled with people who are focused to work for one common goal or a desired goal. And if there is miscommunication or not understanding each other as members, again, leads a lot of discomfort in the teams that impacts the productivity, You're not able to achieve the goal. You're not able to reach to the timelines, and that impacts overall the organization. The other thing that that one of the challenges, the biggest challenge, is about the word empathy and compassion. Now, empathy is not just about you understanding me, because if you ask me today, I have not gone through the same situation, Paris. That was one of the feedback. One of the leaders gave it to me, that I have not gone through the same situation. How can I empathize? How can I just tell that person that, hey, I understand, because I don't understand. And my answer to that thought was like, empathy can be redefined as not about placing yourself in that person's shoes, but just by being with that person. If you don't understand, it's fine. But can you be with that person and say to that person that, yeah, I mean, I understand, I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm with you in that process, in that journey. Let's say the person is, one of the employees is coming with certain problem at family front and not able to deliver it on time, and you're upset, and you want to get the work done, but you're not able to delegate because that's the person who's a subject matter expert, and you perceive that you're non-empathetic because you want to get your work done. But maybe another way is to communicate, understand, be with that person, and see what is workable in that space. So again, empathy is not just about, hey, you get on my shoes and understand. It's about being with that person. So that's one of the biggest challenges today, and that's the reason I bring this webinar about how do we lead with head and heart. And the other challenge that many leaders face is acknowledging self and teams. So one of the areas that I would be, looking at very deeply towards the end of the last part of the session is more about how do we learn to acknowledge self and teams. Many times people just do the work, and the boss and the employee and the boss, and they feel that, hey, I'm not respected enough, or I'm not acknowledged enough, or I've been never told that, hey, you're doing a good job. So that's one other challenge that leaders face today. They're not acknowledging enough, and that enough is not defined. How much is enough? Okay, otherwise it becomes more like you're motivating me a lot, but I'm not performing well. Okay, the other one that is, again, managing diverse teams. Also, for many leaders, it's difficult to be vulnerable, to be yourself, because there is a masky behavior. There's a mask that we wear that, people should not take me for granted. People should not take me for, take advantage of my leadership, being, very nice to people. So I will wear this mask. And then you start having another style of persona about you. So again, difficult to be vulnerable. I think this, the 5 secrets from this book that I have learned, I would love to share with you as well. Then again, other issues that we see is organizational culture, diversity, values conflict. Leaders have difficulty to deal with other people or other team members or other stakeholders on the project. Or somebody who's very new in the leadership role. Let's say you're influenced, you are a person who has a leadership style. Maybe you have worked with a leader who had a particular style of working. But now you see that style is not matching to the current schema of your work. So, or you're maybe very new leader in that position, a very new person, a leadership role that you're holding in that particular space, and you're finding it very difficult. And then you have a particular way to work with people, and that's not helping. The next one is change in management. Organization change is one of the what we say that is, we need to deal with it. We cannot ignore or bypass it. It's change in management. How do we really accept new things, new teams? Also, another area that the challenges many leaders face is on the low on adversary quotient. Many leaders fail to work with teams when things go south. They really do not know how to handle themselves in tough situations. Though it's a good statement, when going gets tough, the tough gets going. But then when it comes to not being aware of how to handle a crisis situation, people end up just getting on to be either very defensive, and then that particular aspect of your skills is interpreted by the members as differently, and then it impacts the communication, it impacts overall experience of that between you and the patient. So, so the other one that I think the leaders have difficulty is the need for acceptance. This constant feeling that, hey, I need to be accepted by my teams or by people around. There's some sort of belief that I need to be accepted. In that case, you tend to be very nice and unable to give constructive criticism. So again, that ends up you piling up a lot of work on yourself and commitment, and it impacts your own leadership skills. So I will pause here. I've been sharing and talking a lot. I want to check with everybody if there are any questions emerging for you, or any sort of learnings, reflections, or any sort of challenge you face in your leadership style, or you've seen in organizations happening. I'm happy to have you all participating as well at any point of time. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to check with you all if there are any questions emerging. And you can also type in as well, in case if you want to share some of your reflections or learnings, or some sort of things that's getting clear behind you or in your subconscious space. Feel free to put that in the chat or participate at any point of time. The next challenge that I see is the individual versus team working. So some leaders are very good at working individual. They like to be themselves, be in their own space, and they are supposed to work with a group of people. And that's not their core strength. So again, this particular session of how to handle, with your heart is going to be very beneficial, because you're building your strength, or you're either upgrading your strength, or you're learning a new competency of dealing with people with care. Now, in your organization, you may also be having a lot of difficult people who create a lot of chaos, politics or miscommunication, holding information, not sharing, backbiting. So how do you deal with such people with more compassion and empathy? Because some way or the other, people remember that some of the other people are wanting to be heard. That's the reason they go different ways to spoil that space, because some way you identify that, hey, let's talk to this person. So how do you communicate with more compassion? Then low on emotional quotient. So many leaders believe that there's only one way to climb Mount Everest, so that's the way to do, and they lack a lot of emotion to understand each other, understand the other person. Understanding self is another issue with many leaders. And one of the beliefs that many leaders hold is that believing that there is only one reality. And rather than understanding that it is all varied perception, there is no absolute reality. But they feel that that's the way to do it, and then they tend to, influence or tend to, tell people that, hey, this is the best way to do it. But then people are not happy, teams are not happy with that, and that again gets into a lot of miscommunication. The other part is technology. Technological changes, again, creates a lot of frustration in organizations and different leadership styles. So everybody has a different, unique style of your leadership. You can't be like somebody. You can always have a role model, but you have your own flavor. Now, how does that leadership style, translate while working with your teams? So these are all and many of them, many challenges that leaders face at workplace. So what I've got for you is the 5 mantras to convert the challenges into opportunities. And there's a wonderful book that I read way back in my life, which was on managing from the heart. And this book was written by Hyler Bracey, Jack Rosenblum, Aubrey Sanford, and Roy Trueblood. And those 5 principles in my corporate practice, being a trainer and doing a lot of leadership programs, helped me a lot. Because it was like, it is not about just working with your teams or working in organizations. These principles or these opportunities, what I call them as, help me a lot as a person to grow. So if you're interested for your personal leadership growth, or if you're interested to use this, or in your organization, this is a wonderful opportunity. So any challenges that you're struggling, maybe at some level, this 5 mantras will help you. So if you're all excited for it, just type yes in the chat box. Let me know how many people are excited to learn this. And also ensuring that your heart is in place with your head. Thank you for that. So one of the things that I would like to share, the opportunity 1 or the principle 1, is a wonderful thing about, please don't make me wrong, even if you disagree. Let's take an example at your workplace. There is a person who proposes an idea or suggests some changes that we can do this in a particular way. And maybe that person has just joined in, or maybe the person is working for longer, but he's a part of your team. And you perceive that idea to be absolutely not okay, like it's not matching to expectations, and you have a limited time frame, and you're under pressure, and you give a feedback. Hey, this is not going to work. This is not a great idea. I think this is one of the worst ideas that I could ever get. And sometimes under that pressure we speak, and then we realize, oh, did I speak that way? I didn't mean to. So how do we bring the heart at the workplace is ensuring that we do not attack the person. Okay? Just share with that person that, okay, your idea is a wonderful, because it talks a lot from, about XYZ. However, I feel, so the language that I would use is about, I feel that this could be done in a better way, or I feel we could probably handle it in this way, or I do not agree to this idea. Okay, so rather than being very aggressive with that person, like it comes across if your defenses are up, okay, or you're attacking more, would only create more and more discouragement for people to participate. Because it is your platform. You are inviting them to share, brainstorm. But if you don't like something, do not make that person feel bad, rather than just share it from your I language. Or maybe let's take an example, something is bothering you, there's somebody who's not submitting a project details on time, or you're expecting a report, or the person is expected to come at a certain time, and you're not getting that response very well. So rather than being just aggressive, because that's one of these learned style, or we say under crisis situation, we just end up becoming too aggressive. And it ends up, making that person feel not okay. Rather than if you use the I language. So one of the things that I learned in my leadership life lessons was that use I or even we in context to sharing your personal discomforts. Rather than saying, we all feel that you need to do this, rather than, I feel this is not coming on time to me, this report or this particular details. I get uncomfortable because we've been sharing this, that the importance of this for a long time. So how can we correct this? How can I help you in this journey? So you're partnering at the same time, you're sharing your discomfort using the I language. So, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to check with you all if something, is there any question you have on this opportunity one? Because the moment you go tomorrow morning or tonight, just check in the last 24 hours, what are any times where you discounted the other person's presence unconsciously, knowingly, unknowingly? Okay, if you are a homemaker, okay, or you are an entrepreneur working from home, okay, check it out. Have you discounted unconsciously anyone's idea? Okay, rather than how would you like to correct it now? If you're in an organization in the last 24 hours, check it out with any team member, maybe newly joined or somebody who's been with you for years. Unconsciously, did you discount that person, or you were rude with that person, or you were aggressive, or you were very ignorant? Okay, so this is a wonderful opportunity to use your heart and use the I language and see the difference. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask me. Let me check the chat box as well, if there are any questions emerging. Okay. So in the meanwhile, if you would like to put that in the chat, how are you feeling? Anyone, everyone, whichever social media, how are you feeling learning about don't make me feel wrong, okay, even if you disagree? How does it connect to you? How do you feel about it? Just put that in the chat. I'll be happy to learn more about how you're feeling at this moment. Parallelly, I'm also looking at the other social media, so I'm going to be looking on the right side or left side, wherever you see. Okay. Okay. Someone is saying I'm feeling awe. I'm feeling, will I be able to do this? Of course you'll be able to do this. Okay. While out there in the chat, people say make good sense, and then simple yet profound resonates. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for that. So, and this wisdom is there with you all. It's here stored. What you just need to do is to connect this with this and start working. The next one, opportunity that I want to bring in the room is hear and understand me. Yes, I'm referring to listening. Are you listening what I'm sharing with you? Or are you hearing what I'm sharing with you? Are you really listening to your own self here? Because listening is an art. Listening is an attitude. Listening is a habit. One has to develop it, reinforce it, because listening is not about what I know I'm listening to. Because that's the first way Oda Sharma talks about, we just know what we know, we listen to that. But do we really listen to something that is outside the schema of my understanding? Do I listen to something that does not resonate to me, but I want to learn more? Because when you grow as a leader, you have a particular frame of reference. And when you have that frame of reference, you are so unconsciously anchored or conditioned with that way of working that you may be unconsciously failing to listen to your teammates. Or some wonderful opportunity and you're an expert in that field, and you know this is the best way, and someone from your team just shares an idea, and you just discount it because it doesn't match your listening capability. Hey, that doesn't match, so I will reject that. So one of the interesting things that we all can do is to listen to someone where you do not feel the connect. The idea doesn't resonate, the thoughts are not clear, okay, the person is sharing something which is not matching your context. Just spend that little time to just listen. Because the moment you listen, you make the other person feel understood. And it's not just making the other person understood, it's also respecting that person's space. So in my earlier days of, in my journey of training and coaching, I had to do a lot of unlearning because I had a lot of my culture in that room when I was talking to people. I had a lot of my family system. I had a lot of my lifestyle, my religion, my leadership style. Everything was there. And I was not talking or listening to the person alone. I was holding all of these systems along with me. Okay. And then I had to literally just shun them and listen to that person with more focus. And it's a tiring process. It is not that easy. You just need to create that habit every day. So according to the research, the number one breakdown in communication at workplace is listening. Okay, if the teams do not feel they've been heard enough, there is going to be a lack of trust. And when there is a lack of trust, people like to draw boundaries and stay within that circle. Nobody wants to come out and share their ideas because you don't listen. Or we haven't got the opportunity to unlearn. So as leaders or future leaders, one of the very simple things that you can do in your everyday practice is to take that conscious effort to listen from your heart. What is that other person saying? What is motivating for the other person to say this? What am I not learning? What can I learn from this? So first, just let's take the download of whatever the person is saying, and then take some little time to reflect and then respond to the person. So it could be any sort of suggestion or ideas or brainstorming things. So we don't discount, we account by respecting that person's presence. And believe you me, this has brought a lot of transformation. This is not something new, but yes, it is some sort of culture that we want to build in the organization. So listen twice, speak once. But whenever you speak, you make a difference in lives of people. So that's one. And so if there is any question, anything that is emerging for you, feel free. I'm also mindful about the time that we have. So there is one example that I would like to share. Yes. So DEEPAK, you've raised your hand. Let me just come to you, then I'll share my example as well. Yes, go ahead, DEEPAK. You're on mute, DEEPAK.
Yeah, good evening, sir. My name is DEEPAK.
Hi, DEEPAK. Good evening to you. How are you?
Very great, sir. How are you?
Excellent. Yes.
So my question is related to my career.
Mm-hmm.
So the profession which I have chosen, digital marketing.
Okay.
So initially, when I learned this skill set of digital marketing, so I was very passionate about the this domain and everything related to digital marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, search engine, and WordPress website. But all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I have lost interest totally in the field. So, and I now I am looking for some other domain and to move into instead of working hard in my current domain.
Hmm.
So, like I feel, internally, I feel like this change of mindset. This is due to what reason I am unable to decipher, and I feel sometimes that I am not following my heart or passion.
Hmm.
But that's why this mind is wavering a lot, and I am unable to focus and concentrate. So
Hmm.
this can you some enlighten me on this? What should be done? How to get back on track and regarding focus and clarity
Hmm.
or about my career?
Okay. So first of all, thank you for sharing this, Deepak. And I've been to similar places, so I can also understand that sometimes it feels so much void that, okay, what was so passionate yesterday and today, I don't see that interest, and I'm not sure whether if I want to do something else or I want to go back and reflect of what is happening to me. And I call this as a beautiful space. That's my experience I'm sharing. I call this as a beautiful space, an opportunity for me to reflect on what is happening internally to me. Okay, we all, our brain wants to find some meaning. Why is it happening? Is it because of the recession? Is it because of the inflation? Is it because of the COVID? Is it about the market, the competitors? So there could be multiple reasons. Okay, and we just want to, maybe I want to just put a name to it so to be more happy. Rather than that, a wonderful exercise that you can, that I would like to do for myself is to pen down all these 7, 8 things that I love to do and start exploring, okay, what's motivating me to not love that space anymore? What is something that is that is missing in between me and that thing that I need to bridge with? This passion is coming from your gut, your internal voice, that, hey, I want to do this. I love doing this. Parallelly, I would also like to explore within myself that if I am I escaping from something that I was loving to do it, and there's some sort of discomfort there, and am I escaping to something else? Or I want to also explore something new in my life that I could integrate with A and the B. This is one option that I could explore for myself.
What is A and B?
The A one is the old things that I love to do and I did, like the WordPress and the digital marketing that you did. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And B is something that could be clubbed along with it. So the new passion. Okay. So if I want to explore the new passion within me. So this is one option to look at. Second is to look at what is motivating me to not feel connected with this again. So do a little reflective practice on this area. Reflective is to question yourself. Or take a help of somebody who can help you to just brainstorm. The third is also to look at, am I escaping? Or, escaping doesn't mean you're running away consciously. It's like unconsciously, there's some discomfort. That's the reason I want to switch. I'm not happy. I want to switch. I want to move ahead. So maybe these are different ideas, and there could be many more, okay, Deepak, that we could explore. So these are some things that I could think at this moment of what connects me to your story. This is what I often do if I feel discomfort, something that I really created, and now I don't feel motivated waking up that morning and doing that thing. Then I question myself, and I doing this out of the 3 options is what I do has helped me a lot more. It may or it may not help you. I'm not sure about that, but definitely it's worth trying. But that's again a choice that I leave it to you.
So
So
first option you told, pen down 7, 8 things which I like to do.
passionate doing it, yeah.
Passionate, which I'm passionate about. Second is to question myself, reflect on your inner self,
Yes.
and discover the new passion.
Is there something that is coming for you that, I'm bored with this thing, but I want to have something else? So am I really passionate about it? What is it? And do I see a relationship between the A and the B that could be merged together? Let's take an example. I want to be a life coach because life coach doesn't require any license today. Okay.
Does not require.
Does not require a license, requires a proper thorough studies. Of course, you need to undergo some learning programs, but it's not some sort of regulated body like, like a doctor or a CA or a CS. So when you learn this, you could probably merge these two together and create a new thing which comes or emerges from it. So I'll just give you an example, okay? The third thing that you could explore is it some sort of running away from the A to something to the B, okay? So these are maybe multiple options that you can explore in.
So what is the third thing? Can you repeat?
Yeah, are you escaping from A to B? So many
To
times
be escaping.
escaping that, this is like, because business is not coming in, or I'm not getting more clients. So yeah, and competition is too high. So let me switch to something else. So sometimes we give it up.
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Yes. Yes.
Excellent. So it's good to explore this and watch this recording again. You will be having it on all social media, Deepak. Check it out if this could help you to go deeper into your own space. This is just a 5 minutes conversation, but maybe you can spend more time on that.
Achha, escaping. Yeah, this point, third one, I like the order. Escaping part. Escaping from A to B. Achha, I am escaping. Okay, and I'm not facing the main issue.
Maybe I'm not telling you you are. I'm just sharing. This is what I think I could be exploring about myself.
Achha. So that escaping could be not related to career, maybe related to some other aspect also of my life.
Many, yeah. So there could be many more, Deepak.
Okay.
All right. So did you get something that you can explore tonight? Because we are running short of time, so I need to cover 2-3 slides more. Would that be okay? Would that be okay, Deepak? Okay. Maybe I just lost him. So the opportunity 3 that I want to share with you all is called Tell Me the Truth with Compassion. Now, this is something, this particular opportunity or principle, I feel we could use it everywhere. Okay, it's talking about tell me the truth with compassion. So you don't need to scream at me. You don't need to shout at me. You don't need to tell me, this is not going well, or you don't need to scream, ignore me. But can you tell me, can you give me a feedback with more compassion, with more care? So for example, rather than saying that you are troubling me, you're irritating me, you're not doing a good job, in helping others, I would probably say, I feel, that when you do not communicate directly with me, I feel that you're ignoring me. Okay, so can I tell the truth? Can I give the feedback with more compassion rather than confronting like an attacking mode? So any feedback that you want to share while giving, well, it could be appraisal, it could be, quarterly feedback, it would be a client feedback, it could be maybe employees feedback. Okay, can you say that with more compassion, with more accounting me and you in that room and addressing that issue on either on the right or left? So the more and more we are, we demonstrate compassion as deeper respect and care to the other person. So then we are not into creating more conflicts. So if you look at the earlier challenges, one of them is giving and receiving feedback, communication, conflict, or handling conflict. So even if you want to give a feedback, if you use a lot of I language, if you listen deeply, and you tell that with more compassion, hey, because of XYZ, the project is is slowing down. But I feel if you want to step back because your support is required, but maybe at this moment we would need some more other expertise in that particular project. And you tell that truth. You say that, okay, there is some sort of concern that I want to bring in, but then you do not shout. You do not be very aggressive, or you be too passive and being ignorant about it. Be more and more compassionate. So that's one aspect that I would say that you can try this, even with your family members. If you want to share some feedback to them, share it with a lot of compassion. Share it with a lot of understanding that I'm here to it's not about you and me, it's about something that is bothering in the relationship, some sort of obstacle is coming in. So this is very sensitive. It requires some more supervision of how do you do it. But a simple way is unconditionally caring for your people. Let the other person feel from your presence. It's not just using those semantic words, but also your body language, your tone of voice, how are you coming across to that person? Okay, are you coming with an intention to help or to destroy or to be destructive? Okay, people can read us from long distance. So please be sure that whenever you give feedback, any concern that you are raising, raise it with more care and respect and deeper understanding about that person and you. So yeah, I'm mindful about the time, so I'm going to move quickly if there are any questions coming in. Yeah, this is a lovely opportunity for our principle 4, which talks about remember to look for my loving intentions. Yeah. I would like to interpret this by saying that rather than judging the person, understand the intentions behind the behavior. Do not judge the behavior. Okay, so what I mean to tell you is that whenever we are like, let's take an example, somebody is confronting me and the person has not attended this workshop, or it's come up very defensive or rude. I feel it's all I feeling it, or I thinking that the person is rude or arrogant or whatever it could be, or just challenging me, and the person has no understanding about leading from heart or something. But then I've attended this workshop, or I've read this book, I've understood these principles. I would start exploring, okay, this person is confronting me, challenging me, okay, telling me something, okay, and I do not agree with it, or I want to agree, but it's so aggressive that I just feel like discounting it. The very simple thing is to pause and then remember this principle that what is the positive intention of this person? What is the positive intention of this person to share it with me right now? What is making the person, why is this person sharing with me now? I respect that positive intention of that person. I'm sure this person is thinking good for me or good for the organization. Let's say there are 2 departments and there's a conflict, and one department leader is trying to accuse the other one. The other one could probably not look at the word accusing, could look at the word like, hey, I understand this person is discomfortable working with me or with this project or this department, but what are the positive intentions of this person? Because this person is thinking good for the company, and I totally acknowledge the positivity of that person to bring that. Now, the way the communication is something I can learn to manage and deal with it effectively. So again, remember this principle, remember to look for the loving intention. So maybe in your organization, somebody is speaking with you in a way that you don't like, rather than just getting into an argument, like you give it back. It's very simple, you flip. But what if you do the other way around? You just pause and think. There could be some positive intention for this person. This person is thinking good for the either organization or for me, or for himself or herself or themselves. So let me listen to that voice, the content, the story, the context, and then let me explore it. Let me not just, explode it, but explore it, and then take some time and then reply. That would save a lot of time, energy, and the most important thing, your mood for the day. Because being defensive, being aggressive does not help you on the long term. It impacts your health. Okay, so yeah, so if there are any questions emerging for you all, I like Sachin what you brought in. One of the feedback I keep hearing from the leaders that they think that being empathetic or compassionate is seen as weakness, and people take them for granted or manipulate the leaders. Any thought on this? Yeah, so I think being compassionate, thanks for that, Sachin. It's a wonderful question, and I think that's also one of the base foundation of the learnings. When we say that, being compassionate and empathetic is being weak, or you're taken for granted, or people can easily manipulate you, I would ideally look at the word presence. As a leader, you're not just, empathy doesn't mean you are telling the person that I'm not going to speak anything, or compassionate doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong and I'm just going to take everything, whatever is going to come on the way. I would look at compassionate and empathetic leader with a combination of assertiveness, with a combination of good listening skills, with a combination of being direct, but with respect. So I could still say no to you, okay? But rather than changing my tone of voice, saying no, I could say, no, I find it difficult, I'm sorry, I cannot do it. I could still say no and say no, and still not be rude. Okay, where the other person gets to understand that, okay, I cannot mess with this person. Okay, but then here, what we are sharing here is that it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Being compassionate doesn't mean that you can take me for a ride. It means that I always, whenever I talk, communicate with you, or have a dialogue with you, is full of respect, care, and deeper understanding. But then something which is not correct, I will still say that to you and not feel guilty. But I'll say with a tone of voice which is friendly, which is also clear. Okay, the conversation is very clear. So there is no moving up and down or ping pong games, very clear, but being respectful. So this is one of the things that I did a lot of workshops and programs in manufacturing and IT, and they had different levels of communication in terms of the context of empathy and compassionate. So you can be also compassionate, and also you can be assertive. Yeah. So thank you for that wonderful question. I'm just going to take another 2 minutes, then I could probably open for more questions. The last part of this opportunity 5 that I want to invite you all in is called acknowledge the greatness within me. How often do you tell your team members, okay, you're doing a good job? How often do you give feedback about what are their strengths rather than their weakness? How often do you acknowledge yourself, your own strengths, that I'm very good in understanding people. I'm very good in respecting people. Because a lot of leaders lack that. If you go back to a cultural study, I'm talking from my country, India, I'm talking about my experience and people whom I interacted. It was always about, what is lacking in you, you need to work hard. It could be your school papers, your exam scores, your report cards, your activities. What is that you're lacking in? Work hard. So the mindset is always about what is lacking and we need to develop. The mindset is not changed from what I'm good, let me excel. So as leaders, many times we may unconsciously fail or do not acknowledge the presence of strengths of certain people or all the people in the room, to see them, what is good in them, and bring that at regular attention. Because the moment you motivate them, the moment you acknowledge their presence, the moment you give that positive stroking, appreciation to people, people love to work more and more for you. Okay, so remember that's one of the, on the LinkedIn I saw there is that we don't change a company, we change because we're not happy with our bosses and or our supervisors or people we're reporting to. Now is the time to change the tables. Now is the time to ensure that we bring more and more care and empathy. We bring deeper understanding. We respect people. We acknowledge their strengths. That does not make us weak. That makes us a very strong team. Okay. And if you would like to develop these skills more, maybe this next question can be one: how can I learn this in details? And we have an upcoming program which is on mindfulness coaching and coach certification, which is with ICF. If you're interested to learn more, feel free to go through our website and or come back to us with some questions. We have an upcoming webinar which is going to be about mind and money, which is happening on August 5th. So if you like this webinar, if you felt that was some value addition to your frame of reference, maybe it's good to join another webinar. And for people who are looking for what we call it as the closure, I'm going to be the closing completion code. I'll be shortly giving it to you in the chat, and later on I'll put that on the social media platform as well if you're registered for the certificate. So maybe I would like to check with all of you, how are you feeling at this moment with learning this? So Deepak, you asked, I'm sorry, I could see that. Just give me 1 second, I'm reading that for you. Is there a technical method which we can use to introspect or reflect on our inner self and find out real passion and then work on it and explore to find ways to monetize it? How do self-introspection regards to career and profession and also life general, including the aspects of friendship, relation, income, etc. Okay, so your question is too big, but a simple thing to do is to just simply put all, whatever I shared, if you can watch the recording, it's a technique that I do. Put all things in a piece of paper and start reflecting. Okay, and the other way to do is through creative visualization. You can go on the Google, you can research a bit. It's about creative visualization with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, or being mindful. Okay, doing some more meditation so that you can be more still in the present while dealing with things which are difficult and truculent for you at this moment. So everybody, the last poll that I have for you before we could close. Okay. I'm launching the poll. Okay. Which mantra from this webinar, Leading with Heart, resonated the most to you? It could be one, it could be many. It's like a choice for you. If you're watching this on other social media platform, you can just pen it down or you can just put that on the chat. Okay, you have exactly 20 seconds. Okay. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me share the results with you, everyone. So 18% of the people said that, please don't make me wrong, even if you disagree. While 45% of people say that, hear and understand me. Yeah, I really resonate. It's one of the most toughest things to do, but I'm sure we all can excel that. 36%, which is closer, people say that, tell me the truth with compassion. I think one of the most important things about how to give and take constructive criticism with each other. And 18% of people say, remember to look for my loving intentions. Yes. And 27%, which is very important, acknowledge the greatness within me. Okay, so it's the time for me to share the closing password. Okay, and the closing password, I'm putting that on the chat. Please copy it. Okay, I'm putting that on the chat. Just copy it exactly the way it is. And you can always write back to us Dr. Paras at matrix.in. It was lovely meeting you all today. Have a wonderful, wonderful time ahead. Namaste.